Hey there, and welcome back to another video. The saxophone is an incredibly optimized instrument. There's specific fingerings for every single note. You have an octave key that literally just takes any note that you play, jumps it up an octave, and you don't have to worry about those pesky partials like you do on a brass instrument. This leads to a pretty big problem though. So many saxophonists play incredibly out of tune. Just pushing the button to make a sound technically can get you playing the right note, but it takes a lot more than that to actually make that note sound good. One of the most important things that you have to work on to play in tune is your embouchure, but just me saying you need to work on your embouchure really doesn't help you. There's something that I'm going to talk about in this video that you need to do to make sure that you're playing in tune, not just on each individual note, but throughout lines and in any context. And the thing is, most people don't take the time to do this, which is why so many people end up playing inconsistent and out of tune. What do you have to do exactly? Well, you have to find your default intonation for every single note. This isn't just taking one note only with a tuner and calling it good. There are actually a few different ways to work on this, and I'm going to show you each one. Right before I get into that though, I do have a free gift for you. It's my free masterclass called The Best Way to Create Melodic Solos. If you've ever wanted to learn how to connect chord changes together to actually make a logical, melodic, and coherent solo, this masterclass is for you. I go over my 6-step voice leading process. It's super simple. It's very clear. It's very efficient. There's not a lot of filler. There's not a lot of extra stuff. There's not a lot of complicated things. I give you PDFs. I have the lesson video. And right after watching that, you're going to start making your solos better right away. The only thing you need to do to get it is click the link at the top of the description down below, or just go directly to davepollack.com/free masterclass. Now let's work on how to actually play this instrument in tune. First off, when I say your default intonation, I need you to figure out where each note lies in tuning. Are certain notes sharp? Are certain notes in tune? Are certain notes flat? We're going to work on each note first and figure out what your default is, what your baseline is. Just because you tune to a concert A or concert B flat doesn't mean all the other notes are magically in tune. Especially on saxophone, it does not work that way. Before we get into all the other exercises, the first thing you actually want to do is get a middle note of the instrument in tune with a tuner. I'm just using a tuner app here. You can use a physical tuner, tuner app, you just use a drone, whatever you want. Just get one note in the middle of the instrument in tune, and then we're going to go from there. We're not just stopping there. For me, I'm going to use the F sharp with the octave key on alto. So concert A. If you play tenor, maybe B or a different note, just pick something in the middle range. I would stay away from maybe open C sharp or middle D or D sharp, something like that. What you're going to do first is you're going to play with the best, most consistent sound that you can using your nice, relaxed all embouchure like I teach. You're going to play this note at like a medium dynamic level. You're going to hold it as steady as you can without looking at the tuner first. Then you're going to open your eyes and look at the tuner. The idea here with not looking at the tuner first and then looking at it is that you're not going to start adjusting right away. What you're going to do is play to what you think is the best sound you can, nice and consistent, hopefully in tune. But if it's not, you know that you're playing consistently, then you can adjust as necessary. Okay, I was actually a little flat there. It's a little cool in the room right now. I'm going to do it one more time just to make sure it wasn't me. Okay, so I'm a little flat, so I'm going to push the mouthpiece in just a little bit, try it again, and make sure I'm in tune. There we go. So now I'm in tune with my middle F sharp on the alto, concert A. A lot of people stop here. They say, okay, my concert A is in tune, I'm good to go. And that might be fine if you've already done all the steps I'm going to outline in this video, but you shouldn't stop there if you've never gone beyond this. What you need to do now is do that exact thing with every note on the instrument. That's right. If you're a saxophone player, low B flat all the way up to high F or even higher if you want. You'll do the same process. You'll play a note consistently, don't look at the tuner, then open your eyes, look at it, and then note where you're at. You're not going to start adjusting yet. What you're going to do is write down. Yes, you're actually going to write out either on a piece of paper, obviously a notes app, computer, whatever you want. Note where every single note lies on your instrument, because remember, your gear, your reed size, your mouthpiece size, the actual saxophone you play, your physiological makeup, all this stuff affects if you're playing in tune or not, or what you think is in tune. So I always say play as comfortably as you can what you think is in tune without adjusting, and just note where it's at. It's okay if some notes are out of tune. That's going to happen, especially on a saxophone. And especially if you have a vintage saxophone. This is a 1974 Mark VI. The upper range, I know it plays wildly out of tune, but I've already gone through this whole process of this video, so I know how to adjust accordingly. So when I say write down what every note is, you might say, okay, my A with the octave key, I put an up arrow because it plays sharp a little bit. And the B flat, I put a down arrow because it is a little flat, my default. And the B is perfectly in tune, so I wrote in tune. Whatever, you can mark it however you want. You could even get really, really specific and mark how many cents sharp or flat each note is. That's up to you. I never got that picky about it, but I just marked down like, oh, my middle D is sharp. My middle C sharp is flat. All my palm keys, very sharp, things like that. How is this going to help you? Well, once you know where the default is for you and for your instrument, your gear, your setup, then you can make micro adjustments to get each note in tune. When I say micro adjustments, I don't mean you're going to start biting down to get the pitch up, or you're going to drop your jaw to get the pitch down in tune. What you're going to do is just raise or lower your tongue. If you know how I teach embouchure, I'm always about aw. So make the syllable aw, and then you can raise or lower, just think about raising and lowering the tongue only to get each note in tune. So if you know that your high B is usually a little sharp and you play ta, maybe you need to go ta and kind of just pull it down slightly, micro adjustments. If you start dropping the jaw, biting really hard, then you're never really going to get a consistent sound. And that's what we're looking for here, is in tune, but also consistent. So now we've gone through playing one note in tune to kind of center ourselves. We've gone through every note on the instrument individually, written down where the note is for our default intonation, and then we adjust it accordingly on one note at a time. But here's the thing, we've done it at one dynamic level and one note at a time. And music can be soft, it can be loud. It could be a bunch of notes at once. It could be one note at a time. You could be skipping up to a note, skipping down to a note. And here's where I think people really drop off and they don't do this next part. You're going to now find your default for all those different situations. Now, a little disclaimer here, there is kind of an unlimited amount of things you could do here. Like you can approach from below, by one note. You can run up 3 notes. You can go up a chromatic scale and play 20 notes. So I'm just going to do kind of a basic way to do this, which really helped me out, and it'll definitely help you out, and it won't take you 1,000 hours to do. So I'm going to go through this process now on my middle E. I'm going to change it up a little bit, so my E with the octave key. What I'm going to do is first get the note in tune, medium dynamic level. Then I'm going to play soft. Then I'm going to play loud. Then I'm going to go from soft to loud. Then I'm going to go from loud to soft. That's just dynamics. Then I'm going to skip up to the note. Then I'm going to skip down to the note. Because the idea here is we're trying to find different situations which you might be in when you're playing music, and you want to be prepared for them. Sure, it's great if your middle E is in tune when you start on at a medium dynamic, but if you have to jump down from an octave above, or from a third above, or from below, or whatever, are you going to be able to hit that note dead on, even though your embouchure was different for that other note? Maybe, maybe not. This is how you check it. So here we go. I'm going to go through the entire process on my middle E. Do you see how this can really help you actually play in tune when you're playing music and not just playing a long tone exercise? The idea here is we're not just tuning one note or even tuning the instrument. What you're doing is you're tuning your ears and your embouchure to not only hear what in tune sounds like, know how to adjust to get in tune, but also you're anticipating the embouchure, everything necessary to play notes in tune. If you're playing a really fast line, you need to, in that millisecond between those notes, adjust your embouchure accordingly. If you know that you're jumping up to a high B, and I know that when I go from my low note up to a B, I'm always overcompensating and tightening up too much, so I have to relax, I might practice that line really slowly, beep, see where I'm at, then speed it up so you can get your embouchure to move super quick. So right when you play that line, it pops right out, in tune, consistent every time, and then you don't have to think about it, because what we're doing with these exercises is training your new default intonation. I highly recommend you do these exercises if you want to play more consistent and more in tune. All the other musicians that you play with will really thank you for it. Trust me on that. Before you go, don't forget to check out my free masterclass called The Best Way to Create Melodic Solos. You can go to davepollack.com/free masterclass, or just click the link at the top of the description down below. I'll also put it in the pinned comment. I also have something incredibly exciting coming to you November 25th, so be on the lookout in your inbox for that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.